Hi, I'm Adrienne Ferreira.
And I'm Rob Carlton, and this is the Bravewords podcast.
Each episode, we bring you one true story told live on stage at our monthly event, Bravewords Live, on the Central Coast of New South Wales.
It's a storytelling night, and this is our third year. It started as a creative challenge for Adrienne and I, a deadline to force us to write more, share our stories, and to create a space for others to do the same.
I'm a novelist and a non-fiction writer, and I also run writing workshops through Bravewords. My job is to help people find their voice on the page, often for the first time.
And I'm an actor and writer. You might have seen me on TV shows like Paper Giants, Boy Swallows Universe, or Shandon Pictures. I've been performing for over 30 years, but Bravewords Live has given me something entirely new. It's helped me be more patient with other people. After hearing hundreds of stories, I'm reminded that a lot of people are carrying a lot of troubles. And I hope it's made me more compassionate towards strangers.
Yeah, we've found that a community that puts time into bravely sharing their stories and puts aside time to listen to them is a much more connected place, a more understanding and empathetic place. At Bravewords Live, we invite 6 storytellers each month to read a story they've written. Unlike the Moth or TED Talks, our writers don't have to memorise their story or stand and perform it. They sit in a chair and read it aloud. And this takes the pressure off performance. It allows our storytellers and our audience to relish the beauty of the written word.
We hear from professional artists, but we also hear from first-timers, people who have never shared their stories publicly before, maybe never been on a stage before. And it's that mix that makes the night so wonderful.
Some stories will make you laugh out loud, some will break your heart. All are true, and all of them are written down with care, often through many drafts, because at Bravewords we believe that craft matters.
So here it is, one story at a time, raw, brave, and beautifully told. This is Bravewords, the podcast. Our first story is from Adrienne, recorded live at the Avoca Beach Picture Theatre, and it's called Dubrovnik.
A couple of weeks before we were due to embark on an overseas holiday without the kids, Rob told me he'd booked in for a vasectomy. I can get it done at Terrigal with Dr. Small, the calamari king, he said. It's a quick turnaround. Apparently he does 20 a day. What do you think? Our twins were 9 years old. I'd given up the pill a while ago, but I was still deeply ambivalent about the idea of another child. Rob had raised the subject of a vasectomy before. This was the first time he'd gone so far as to make an appointment. I can cancel if you want, he said, but if we have another baby now, we're looking at a gap of 10 years between siblings. It was a terrifying prospect. Okay, do it, I said. I was tired of deliberating. But Rob returned from his initial consultation with the calamari king crestfallen. He'd been told condoms were still needed 3 months after a vasectomy to ensure the pipes were safely clear. We'd be back from our holiday by then. Rob's plan for a festival of freewheeling passion wouldn't be quite as unfettered as he'd hoped. Nevertheless, his gesture set the tone. This 2-week trip was all about pleasure, a chance to reconnect, just the two of us in Eastern Europe, unencumbered by kids, free to do as we pleased. The first sign of trouble came early. At Amsterdam's Central Station, we emerged with the throng into the grand hall, pausing among the tall brick archways to orient ourselves, each consulting our own maps before striking off in different directions. Rob trod on me and ran over my foot with his bag. Then he continued to hasten towards Station Square. "Why are you giving me that look?" he said. "You just trod on me." "I didn't mean to." "I know, but you didn't apologise." "Well, it wasn't intentional." If the boys were playing basketball and one of them threw the ball and it accidentally hit the other one in the face, you'd encourage them to say sorry because you acknowledge when you've hurt someone, even if you haven't meant to. Rob's expression was wounded. "But you're always so quick to give me that dirty look," he said. "It feels horrible, like deep down you suspect I'm evil." This accusation rang true in part. Dirty looks had become a kind of shorthand of mine, but when he was this clueless, it felt justified. So let me get this straight. I said, "You trod on me, but I'm the one who should say sorry." By then, we'd reached the taxi rank and let the subject drop. We flew to Prague, arriving after dark at our accommodation, a sumptuous, crumbling old palace with cavernous ceilings and watermarks creeping across the walls, a bargain rate in the shoulder season. There were barely any other guests, which made it even spookier, and we felt like banished royals, finally on our own in Eastern Europe. Next morning, we set out for breakfast in the drizzle and found a cute cafe. It was empty, but we took a table inside and placed our order. Then Rob pulled out his Kindle and started reading. I stared at him. He glanced up. "What's wrong?" "What am I supposed to do? If you told me you were planning to read over breakfast, I would have brought a book too." He looked perplexed, then annoyed. With the roll of his eyes, he set down his Kindle and sat back, awaiting my dazzling conversation. "Well, I don't feel like talking to you now," I said, turning away. He returned to Kafka's Metamorphosis, and I ate my croissant in silence, studying the light fixtures, wondering how someone could be in such a hurry to get a vasectomy for better intimacy, then ignore their partner the first morning they were alone together on a romantic holiday. From here, our differences only became more pronounced. When travelling, I like to take on the role of the observer, happy to be on the periphery, quietly watching how others interacted with their landscapes without my intrusion, waiting to see what moments might unfold and envelop me. Rob was the opposite. He sought out conversations with waiters and ticket sellers and random travellers, keen to engage directly with everyone and everything, to penetrate each new space and be at the centre of things. It was really annoying. As we ventured into the bowels of Bohemian castles and wandered over medieval bridges and up Gothic clock towers, I grew more and more frustrated, not by what we were doing, but by how he was being. In Budapest, he made friends with everyone on our bike tour and facilitated a most entertaining lunch between 12 strangers, everyone joking and laughing. I felt ashamed of myself. When had I become this dreary person, grudgingly forced to meet new people and then enjoying their company? Something that wouldn't have happened if it hadn't been for Rob. But his exuberance was oppressive. I didn't know what to do about it. How do you tell someone to stop having such a good time? To make less friends? Dinners took on a familiar pattern. We'd find a restaurant, choose a table, and as we waited for the menu to arrive, an awkward pause would descend. Here we were again, face to face over the cutlery. But as every intervening minute had been spent in each other's company, a vacuum of conversation opened up. At these times, we turned our attention to the other diners, and in tourist towns, the pickings were rich. But Rob's observations were making me uncomfortable. He tended to notice peculiar flaws and physical oddities. Not actual deformities, he wasn't cruel, but lantern jaws and bulging eyes and hulking straight-armed gaits and mad eyebrows. The pleasure of people watching had become a running commentary on everybody's defects. "Why do you have to be so judgmental?" I protested one night. "I'm not judging," he said mildly. "I'm just noticing." "But why do you always notice what's weird or ugly or awkward?" "Because it's funny. I'm a comedian. I look for the weird. I can't help it." Like this guy behind you. He has a rainbow smile. I refuse to look. "Each of his teeth is a different colour," Rob marvelled. "Oh, for God's sake." I whipped around, ready to defend this poor stranger, and was met with the most astonishing set of choppers I'd ever seen. Jesus Christ, right? He had a point. Art for him was comedy. He was drawn to discord and discomfort, alive to the spectrum of human flaws. But here on holiday, I wanted to overlook them. I wanted to see only the beauty and feel the harmony with the world, feel in harmony with the world. I started to worry. Had I become this vapid and boring? What sort of artist could I be without a sharp, unflinching gaze? A bland one, I concluded. And when the young waitress with the smooth ponytail came to take our order, she was so calmly confident and capable, so European, I felt myself shrink even further. I was once that plucky young waitress. What had happened to her? Had parenthood snuffed out my spark? Had I allowed myself to be ground down into this insecure blob? Or had marriage done this to me? By the time we got to Croatia, my irritability was bordering on infantile. On the train to Zagreb, I stared out the window at the russet autumn landscape, hoping desperately that a change of scene would shift my mood. Each day I expected to wake up feeling better, lighter, but my gut was heavy with dread. Maybe I just needed some vegetables, a bit of fibre. After a week of goulash and kranskis, maybe a new Mediterranean-inspired cuisine would sort me out. And so, for our first evening in Zagreb, we chose a nice restaurant with good reviews, offering lots of interesting vegetarian dishes. I was poring over the menu, trying to choose between the stuffed artichokes and the Swiss chard soparnik and the green bean salad, when Rob announced, "I'm going to have the pumpkin soup." I looked up in dismay. What? But there's so many other good things to choose from. "I just feel like something light," he said. "But you don't even like pumpkin soup. Nobody does." "Yes, I do." "You think you do, but whenever I make it, you don't eat it. You have one bowl and the rest sits in the fridge for days and I have to finish it. Pumpkin soup is gross." "Well, it's what I feel like and that's what I'm having," he said, in a tone that suggested I had lost my mind. The next day, in Plitvice National Park, we wandered the misty trails and narrow boardwalks over shallow lakes, past hundreds of waterfalls. We'd encountered some big tour groups on our holiday, mainly from Korea. They travelled in one block and seemed to panic whenever they became separated, even for a moment. We stopped on the boardwalk to let one such group file past, and trailing behind was a small middle-aged Korean woman in a maroon tracksuit and a giant sun visor, hurrying to catch up with the others. Rob smiled as she passed, then he leant in towards me and said, "Wow, she was so little I could have just thrown her in the water." "What the fuck?" "I could throw you in the water," I exploded. "I'd be so fast you wouldn't even see me coming. I'd be like a ninja. I'd go in low for your knees and you'd be down in that lake wondering what the hell just happened." He stood blinking at me. "Listen to yourself," I protested. "You tread on me on the train station and you point out everyone's flaws and you threaten to throw people in the water. You're an oaf." "Sorry," he said. "I didn't want to throw her in the water. It was just a passing thought." "Well, I don't want to hear it. Rob, if we're going to get through this holiday, you need to stop saying shit like that. It's driving me crazy." He was quiet then. But he didn't get angry or defensive. He listened. And in the following days, when I found myself irritated by something he said, instead of seething silently, I told him to watch out or I'd throw him in the water. And he'd laugh and I'd laugh, and the tension would dissipate. By the time we arrived in Dubrovnik, the sun came out. The weather was warm enough for swimming, and we jumped into the clear turquoise sea straight off the rocks at the bottom of our hotel. Above us, the golden cliffs were thick with pencil pines. It was astonishingly beautiful. We walked into the old town without the need for jackets and made friends with strangers Rob met. We even shared a few dinners. I enjoyed their company and we gossiped about them afterwards. As we walked along the high fortress walls that surrounded the old town of Dubrovnik, hewn from the palest stone, I felt grateful to be here, to have overcome our friction, to be a couple in love on holiday. I felt grateful for Rob's sense of humour, his capacity for joy and self-reflection. After all, I'd chosen to marry a comedian, and not a sad clown, but a hyperactive, happy whirlwind that took out the odd barn. I'd walked eyes open into that whirlwind. As I peered down into the convolution of narrow alleyways and red terracotta roofs, packed so neatly they seemed organic in form, like a fruit cracked open, sturdy and efficient and asymmetrically exquisite, I was amazed that the old town was still teeming with life. With tourists, yes, but also residents and artists and children and fishermen bringing home their catch. Among the sunny balconies and washing strung between windows, I could see how some streets were worn smooth to a polish from everyday use, while certain courtyards crumbled from neglect, overgrown with weeds, with stairs that led to nowhere. In the centre, the clock tower marked the passing days with gold-tipped spires that strived towards some central truth. That afternoon, we took the cable car to the War Museum at the top of the hill and learnt how, in 1991, the Yugoslav army launched an all-out attack on Dubrovnik, sending airstrikes and mortars down onto those ancient roofs, annihilating homes and shops and monuments and churches, setting the whole place burning. It was shocking to think that anyone would do such a thing. What a tragedy to try and destroy such an old, benign and beautiful city. And I thought about my marriage. How sad it'd be if I were to lob a mortar into it. Sad for us and for the kids and for our families. How tragic it would be to blow up all we'd built. How you'd want a really good reason to destroy something so beautiful.
I hope you enjoyed that beautiful story from Adrienne. For those of you that don't know, I'm the Rob in that story. And to listen to it again gives me goosebumps. I love that story and I love what Adrienne was able to find in it. And I certainly remember on the night that she performed that down at Avoca Beach, 280 people sitting in that beautiful darkened theatre. And the subject spoke to so many couples. It spoke to so many people in that room that have gone through situations where the little conversations weren't had. And I think Adrienne spoke on behalf of a lot of people that night.
Sometimes it's hard to say what's on your mind. And sometimes it's hard to eat leftover pumpkin soup that you don't even want in the first place.
There was a line in there where you said, maybe I just needed some vegetables. And I thought that was the moment I'm never convinced there's a true difference between the genders. But I think I can't imagine a man ever saying, maybe I just needed vegetables.
I need a vegetable. If you like that story, if you feel like there's somebody who could relate to that story, please share it.
And if you like that story and want to hear lots more stories, make sure you come back to Bravewords, the podcast.